The Canadian woman whose sexual assault allegations against Bill Cosby led to his conviction is now speaking out publicly.
Your traumatic experience has not only been, a courtroom and all the suffering in private that you've done, but it's also been absolutely worldwide news because of the fame of Bill Cosby. Has that been burdensome, or did you manage to put that aside?
I think I managed to put it aside, although it was very challenging. But yeah, it was kind of like, there's power there, and my goal was really just to speak truth to power. And it was very difficult. I think I was very scared, when I first came out, and it was really daunting, but I couldn't really sit in silence any longer. And that's when I told my mom. But yeah, that power structure that's still there, but slowly being dismantled. It was tough.
The Andrea that walked in that door that night was not the Andrea that walked out the door.
I think it's important to say that when we finished the film, Andrea actually told me, she said when she began, she was told by all the lawyers that she had a 2% chance of finding justice with Bill Cosby. And that's true for everyone, whether it's Bill Cosby or not. The fact that it was Bill Cosby just made it a much bigger mountain to climb for Andrea, because there was a massive machine coming at her to stop her.
Physically, she changed drastically.
I had to be 15 when I met Cosby for the first time.
And I was just 16 years old.
He began to stroke my hair.
And I knew I'd been raped.
There was incredible footage in the documentary, really an admission of guilt in black and white television interview footage of him saying that he drugs women. I mean, it's just astounding. How has he gotten away for it for all these decades? Was it Me Too or what happened?
Yeah. I mean, Karen can kind of speak to that in terms of like probably the mentality of predators. She's kind of really in tune with that. But how he does it is it's just a persona that he really crafts over many years. And, that's America's dad. That's that America's dad persona. And that's what he crafted. That's what he spent his whole career crafting, and on top of that, he was very philanthropic. And so he had that philanthropy as well. And that kind of just was a mask, literally it's like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde situation.
It's important to remember that predators don't exist in a vacuum. And we have a culture that supports them, that doesn't really want to look at the truth. So if you look at Anna Salter and Ann Burgess, who were in the documentary, who study predators, he's just a run-of-the-mill, predator in terms of the techniques he used. The first thing a predator does is create a persona that you would never believe capable of such a thing. It's a multi-leveled, it's kind of a culture that allows them to continue, and Cosby did for 5 decades.
It's also a new year, and for me it's like this is the perfect time to be able to start to conquer this type of stuff, this culture and this societal acceptance of the wealthy and powerful and famous. There couldn't be a better time for this documentary to be coming out. So we've got to conquer it. We've got to start somewhere, and no better time than a new year.
He told me that Cosby had drugged her and raped her.
The complainant was Andrea Constand. She was making some serious allegations of a sexual assault.
I wanted Bill Cosby in jail for what he did to me.
In terms of the Me Too movement having helped things, and now we're seeing how widespread rape is, do you think that rape is like really, really common?
Yes. I think all of us know or have experienced sexual assault in our lifetime. I don't know anyone who doesn't know someone or hasn't themselves experienced sexual assault in their life. So I think that was really the vision for the film, was to reveal what trauma, what this does to someone, to the people who love them, how common it is, and how it affects a life, because we've spent a lot of years not talking about it, and it's time to pull back the covers and recognize it.
And Andrea, I'm sure you get people asking you or telling you their stories constantly.
That's very true. I do. And I hold a space for them. I hold a very safe space and just let them know that they're not alone and that they're very courageous.
The 78-year-old Cosby stands charged with the assault on Andrea Constand.
Now time for Mr. Cosby to face the music.
When we started this film, and, you know, I interviewed quite a number of Cosby survivors to find the ones that eventually ended up being in the film. Every single woman, to a woman, thought they were the only one, including Andrea, when they began. And that's part of what a predator does to keep them isolated and alone. They think that even though you would think, well, if they did it to me, chances are they've done it to someone else. The psychology of the predator makes them believe that they're the only ones. They're the ones that are crazy, and that's how they keep them silent.
It's a good thing we shone a light on the truth of who he really is. And now we can all move on and heal from that. All the women and everybody else who's come forward too. It's a moment for healing.
This man is a serial predator. This man sexually assaulted Andrea Constand, and here's how you know.
Those sisters who spoke up, they were blamed and shamed, they were slut-shamed and victimized.
There's no response.
To him, I will always be the liar, but to me, he will always be my rapist.